Why do I make things so complicated? Why do I overanalyze everything and spin myself in endless thought circles, never actually making progress? Do you resonate with either of those statements? As a life coach and positive psychology scholar, learning to manage my thoughts is one of my favorite pastimes. Yet even I sometimes take that a little bit too far and spin myself in these thought loops that are not productive, not helpful, and simply exhausting. So today I'm sharing the truth about overthinking, overanalyzing, and overcomplicating with 6 practical, honest tips to help you get out of that spiral and continue on with your life. Before diving into these 6 tips, if you want them in written form, download your free PDF linked below. While you're down there, if you are especially excited or longing for this topic, give this video a like, and to ensure you never miss an alignment training free every Tuesday right here on YouTube, subscribe to this channel and turn on your bell notifications. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that this is not the first time I recorded this video, and therefore this video is even better because I now not only have 1 tip, which I was originally going to share, I have 6. So tell me an emoji that perfectly describes what your mind feels like right now, or what your mind feels like when you are in those overcomplicating, overthinking, overanalyzing thought loops. Before any of these 6 steps, that is the first step for you to take. It's to add some compassion, add some lightness, add some humor, as much as feels acceptable for you at this time. Another wonderful YouTuber, Shayna, does a great job at talking about overcomplicating, overanalyzing, and overthinking in the step of getting compassionate with yourself and understanding that this is a part of the human experience. Yet compassion alone likely doesn't progress you to where you want to go, which is out of that thought loop and into your life again, rather than living inside your head. So look at your PDF of these 6 tips and check in with your gut. What one feels like it's most helpful for you at this time in this season. The first approach is to make a decision. To make a decision so that your brain gets the conclusion that those thought loops are wanting. Now, this may not be a decision about the thing that you are overcomplicating and overanalyzing. So let me clarify. If I am overanalyzing whether or not I should quit a job, I may not decide whether or not to quit the job because that might just keep me in that spiral. But what I could decide is to not think about it for the next 24 hours. Or I could decide to start looking at job boards, to start looking at other possibilities, and give myself a boundary for that decision. So I will look at job boards for the next week, and that is my decision right now. Oftentimes, when we're spinning in this over-analytical cycle, we just don't have enough data to step forward, and therefore we need to take action before coming back to that analytical space. If you're over-analyzing and overthinking, overcomplicating something that happened in the past, and therefore a decision might not need to be made, then I invite you to go on to the second tip, and that's to set a timer. Set a timer to let yourself think, contemplate, reflect, feel what you are feeling regarding that past experience. And then when the timer goes off, shift gears, go to something else. In a way, this is a different form of a decision. This is a decision to let yourself feel and experience and reflect on what you're wanting to reflect on within bounds. And to help you actually stop when that timer goes off, maybe allow yourself to set a timer every day. And therefore, when the timer goes off, you know that the next day you can go right back to that spot if that's feeling good. Some of my wonderful members inside the Yes and Experience do this specifically with fears. If they feel like they're ruminating with fears, they'll set a timer and they'll let themselves worry and think about all the worst case scenarios. And then when the timer goes off, no more. This allows you to experience and to reflect and to think about what you're thinking about anyway, while still living your life, because it is not consuming every part of every day. A third tip that might surprisingly be one of the most difficult is to get quiet. We have multiple forms of intelligence and intuition and insights in our being. Oftentimes when we're overanalyzing and overcomplicating and overthinking, it's all going on in the mind. When we listen to our heart or our gut, and there are scientific studies that show that these are also areas that have a lot of intuition and guidance and intelligence. They have in their way their own minds. We're not letting those things come to light, the insights that live there, be expressed or heard if we're only in our mind. So one way to tap into those other areas of guidance is to get quiet, to quiet the mind, which does not mean necessarily suppressing thoughts, but it's not intentionally thinking and analyzing and looking at the spreadsheets and the pro and con lists. Some yogis or meditations use the imagery of a cloud passing through the sky, or a leaf blowing through the wind, or a leaf floating down a river. Think of your thoughts as floating by rather than stuck in your mind. Maybe you even want to enter a meditation. Turn on a meditation, a visualization that will help you to get out of the head space and into the heart space, the gut space, and into your body, into this present moment. Or maybe getting quiet, getting out of your mind is simply allowing yourself to take 3 deep breaths. The profound impact of 3 deep breaths is so underrated, and I experience that every time I remember to take 3 deep breaths. Maybe even try it right now. So far, these 3 tips have been very independent: to make a decision with yourself, to set a timer to be with your thoughts for a boundaried amount of time, and to get quiet, to go in, to listen to the other guidance around you. If that doesn't feel like it's working, and if you feel like you really just need to get out of this place and you are ready, that is key for this tip, that you are ready to get out of the overanalyzing, overthinking, and overcomplicating. Invite a trusted partner, friend, or coach to point out your blind spots. Sometimes we just can't see what we don't see. There may be a solution that is so simple right in front of us. Or maybe there's a piece of the puzzle that when someone else illuminates it for us, it all becomes more clear. Sometimes even just having someone else reflect back what we are thinking, or us just saying what we're thinking and overanalyzing and overcomplicating out loud allows us to see how silly it is, or the blind spot that we didn't otherwise see when it all lived in our head, or a different piece of clarity. Again, to emphasize, for this tip, you really need to be ready to hear those blind spots. Because if we're still in this place of defensiveness and clutching the overthinking and overanalyzing, no matter what someone else tells us, even if it's the most wise statement and advice we have ever heard, we'll likely push against it because for whatever reason, we're wanting to stay with that overthinking, overanalyzing cycle. In which case, probably go back to number 2 and set that timer so that you can allow yourself to be with those thoughts in boundaries. The 5th tip is to make it simple. If you can stay curious just a little bit with me and ask yourself, what if this were simple? What if this was easy? Sometimes the insights that come from those questions are so powerful, and in the questions themselves are so simple and easy. It helps us to get out of what we thought was this really difficult, challenging thought circle, when in reality, there was an exit right next to us. Along the same lines of simplicity, if you are in that cycle of overthinking, overcomplicating, overanalyzing, go back to the simple basics. So get your sleep, drink water, exercise your body. If you can get back to those foundational elements that make us well, clarity and insights flow much easier. Just check in and ensure that those foundational elements, those core centers to what help us stay well and nourished as humans, are there, and therefore you can trust your thoughts are not coming just from a place of imbalance, but are coming from a place of truth and clarity. And the 6th tip is something I talked about last week right here on YouTube, which is to build your caricatures. This is also known as inner child work. However, in my practice, I take a little different slant in that it doesn't necessarily have to be an exploration of your inner child, but just different parts of you, different personality traits and interests and ways that you show up in this world. Last week, I gave a whole list of questions to help you to stop your mind from spinning by noticing where that thought is coming from, where it's originating. When we're in a place of overcomplicating, overanalyzing, overthinking, sometimes just understanding the roots of these thoughts, of this analysis, of all the fears that are going on, which may mean that you have multiple characters at play, is so helpful. And again, clarifying, because it organizes what you're thinking about, not in a pros con list, because that can still feel jumbled when there's so many different values and interests and motivators at play, but in a place of, okay, this is the part of me that's worried, and this is why they're worried. This is the part of me that's excited and therefore fighting against the worry. And then you can paint this whole picture, dialogue, imagery in your mind to understand the thoughts and the analysis at an even deeper level. So go back to May 4th's video to stop your mind from spinning and learn that caricature work. Download the PDF associated with that video if you're excited to learn where these thoughts are coming from. So there you have it, 6 tips for what to do when you're overcomplicating, overthinking, and overanalyzing. If choosing which of these 6 tips feels daunting in and of itself, then I encourage you to take a step back and start with my strengths quiz. I talk about this a lot because it is so insightful to learn whether you are intention-oriented and action-oriented. Oftentimes we lean one way or the other, better. And if you're intention oriented, I highly encourage you to pick one of these 6 that is more action oriented to help you build that balance in your life. Because oftentimes, if we're in this place of overthinking, overcomplicating, overanalyzing, we are out of balance. If you are action oriented, then choose one of these 6 tips that is more from that intentional place, such as the getting quiet, the meditation, the setting a timer. As a summary, download your PDF so that whether you are overthinking, overanalyzing, or overcomplicating right now or in the future, you have insight and a guide to exit that exhausting space. To help in choosing which of these 6 would be best for you individually, take my strengths quiz to learn whether you are intention-oriented or action-oriented. Don't forget to add a little humor and lightness to this. Comment an emoji that perfectly captures your mind when you're in this place of overthinking, overcomplicating, and overanalyzing. And lastly, if you're wanting more free alignment trainings every single Tuesday, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on bell notifications. If you know a friend who's in this place of overthinking, overcomplicating, overanalyzing, maybe send this video to them as well. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Maren Lauka. I am the owner of Yes And. As an alignment coach, speaker, and author, I empower you to get rid of those limiting beliefs and false expectations for how life should be so that you can own your potential, experience true fulfillment, and make your positive impact. Next week, our alignment training is about how to use visualization to reduce overwhelm and achieve your goals. I'll see you then.